lesson, we will review The Store of the Worlds by Robert Sheckley. And he was alive 1928 through 2005, and he would be a famous science fiction writer. And many of his stories have these Cold War themes where people were very nervous that the Soviet Union or America would set off a nuclear bomb, which would lead to world destruction, basically. It was definitely a fear on people in the 50s, 60s, 70s. You could say all the way up to the 80s, because the Cold War would have officially ended in 1991 with a peace agreement, so we've seen. So, in our story, we'll go through our annotated reading. Now, we have our protagonist, Mr. Wayne. Now, you've already read the story on your own, so we can go over this foreshadowing that we see throughout the whole text. Now, the mound of rubble, when I first read this, I did not know what he was going to be walking into here at all. So we know that at the end, it is a nuclear disaster that has taken place, and Mr. Wayne's family is no more. But when we meet it, walking to the store, we might just think that this store was in like a bad area. But this would be foreshadowing the high rubble and the apocalyptic scene here when he walks to the store. So, when he gets to the store of the worlds, Mr. Tompkins is definitely presented as somewhat a little bit creepy, especially since he's in this rundown store. You have a rusty hypodermic. That would be a needle people use. So we are left here wondering, what kind of store is this? What is it selling? Oh, one other one is Mr. Wayne's parcel. He has a parcel under his arm. This, we could either say the parcel is a motif, we could also even say it's a symbol. Because in the end, we find out that the parcel under his arm, a parcel is just kind of like a big envelope you can put stuff in. The parcel did not have money. The parcel just had goods, because this is like a barter system where money doesn't matter because everything has been destroyed, right? So that also is something that comes into play for foreshadowing a symbol or even a motif. And which we have when we have Mr. Tompkins, he has this creepy parrot. The parrot repeating his phrase shows that his pitch is rehearsed, like desires, like words are borrowed, repeated, not truly original. The parrot's silent blinks function as ironic punctuation. So he kind of adds a humor there. And then we're trying to figure out what it is Mr. Wayne wants to buy. And he says, you pay me a fee, I give you an injection, it knocks you out. Then with the aid of certain gadgets, which I have in the back, I liberate your mind. And we don't exactly know, but there's all these different worlds he could end up going to. And it's the world that he would desire most. And this is kind of like the sciencey part of it, where he's saying that their Earth itself is four-dimensional, casts three-dimensional shadows, solid reflections of itself. Millions, billions of Earths. So that's their explanation. Mr. Wayne is uncomfortable that Tompkins sounds like a circus barker. So here we have Mr. Wayne. We could characterize him as somewhat skeptical, but still open-minded because he went there. And here he's saying that his friends told him about it. He's saying, I know what your dirty-minded friends said. So now we can assume that people do this experience, and they might be doing maybe like degenerate things or going to degenerate worlds. But it's supposed to be the person's mind that guides their experience. So this is kind of like a situation where it'll take you to a world where you truly most desire. And then he's saying, if you've been harboring a secret dream of murder. And Mr. Wayne says, no, that's not me. So we're not exactly sure what the perfect world for Mr. Wayne would be. But we also find out why Mr. Tompkins does this. He's saying that he has to charge this high price because eventually he wants to make this transition permanent. Which is kind of crazy to think that people would want to go to these other worlds. For what reason? Now remember, when we're reading the story at this point, we don't know what world Mr. Wayne is going to go to. We don't even know that our current world has been destroyed. So the way that we're looking at Mr. Wayne at first we might feel like Mr. Wayne is being kind of selfish because he wants to do this experience. We're assuming he's paying money. Because, see, for now, the experience does not last forever. It is not at all permanent. So he's saying it's like a vacation, a taste of another world, and look into your own desires. And it can't be refunded. The process is a tremendous strain. Your life expectancy is shortened. And the government, the so-called government, has declared my process illegal. So now we're left wondering, this is illegal, this is dangerous, and this is costly. So we might, as readers, be judging Mr. Wayne a little bit here. Because I guess if your parents went and did something like this without you guys, definitely would have been, I mean, you would have been like, why would you do that? It was so much money, and now you're going to die 10 years early. You could say that this experience would definitely be a little bit selfish, right? If it's a parent. And then we also find out that he's driving home. So here's where we get this part here. Now, after we read it, we're going to know that he did indeed do this. Because here he's showing, I'll really give it some thought, think away. And then it switches to him driving home, right? So then we see what Mr. Wayne's life is like. So we think. So remember. And so this will be our end. He wakes up. A year had passed. Very little time to think of secret desires. Perhaps next year, in the meantime. And then we find out that his family is dead. And the world he went to that he desired most was simply to be back with his family again, which is really, really sad. Because throughout this story, I was a little bit judging Mr. Wayne for making the selfish choice. And I was also wondering, what did Mr. Wayne hate so much about his life? But in the end, we find out that everything is absolutely destroyed from a nuclear apocalypse. And a risk Geiger, that is something that you use to look for radiation. So a Geiger would test for radiation levels, which tells us here that he is certainly living in a nuclear wasteland, especially if all they're eating is potato rations, because potatoes grow underground. So like after a nuclear disaster, they might be one of the only foods that's going to grow, especially if you don't have any sunlight, because it can cause like these nuclear winters. But anyway, so in the end, we find out that he went to his family. But the whole middle or rising action here is him at his with his son Tommy, and then all the mundane things that happen throughout his day is really what he truly missed. So he has his wife Janet. Even here, you're kind of judging him because he's lying to his wife, but he's not lying to his wife. This was the experience that he was taken to by Mr. Tompkins. So the true desire that Mr. Wayne had was just a regular day back with his family. Also, these parts are very interesting because in his regular life, he's having like, you could say this was an experience he lived. Like he was taken back to a time before the nuclear disaster, before the bombs went off, because we do have this foreshadowing that there was going to be a nuclear attack, because he's seeing panicked over events in the Middle East and Asia. Stocks were reacting accordingly. He even like going to his job. He was some type of stockbroker. So like when there's wars, the stock market can go down because people don't like uncertainty in the stock market. But that would be some, you could say, foreshadowing that this whole story, he was living in a nuclear disaster, apocalyptic situation setting even before, right? At the very start. So also, this is a weird thing that his son is asking about all these different types of bombs. You could say that this definitely shows the Cold War theme here, that bombs and their atom bombs, hydrogen bombs, cobalt bombs, all kinds of bombs were in the news, leading to this anxiety that there is certainly some geopolitical tensions taking place in the world. And here, more talk about the intercontinental missiles, atom bombs, Sputniks. Sputniks would have been a Soviet Union type of satellite. So now, leaving it here, we wouldn't have been exactly sure what happened, right? Because when it says a year had passed and very little time to think of secret desires, we're assuming he never went. We are assuming at this point that he didn't take the offer from Mr. Tompkins, that he actually just went back home. But then in our resolution here, we realize that he did indeed. So the entire story read was him in his secret world. Well, he keeps it secret, but this was the world that Mr. Tompkins brought him to, a world with his family again. And he's saying, did you find your secret desire? Was it murder or South Seas Island? And Mr. Wayne doesn't want to tell him. We don't really know why. Maybe he's just a private person, or he doesn't want to seem like, I don't know, a big softie that just went back to his family. Or maybe he just has like love for his family. He wants to keep them private. We don't really know why he doesn't say it though. But he does ask if it can be permanent, because we know that he would rather live in that world than the current world. And then coming back to the parcel, army boots, a knife, 2 coils of copper wire, and 3 small cans of corned beef. So he, at the start, we remember that he was saying it was a lot. It cost a lot. It didn't cost a lot of actual money. It cost a lot of the things he had. So these would have been valuable items to him living in a nuclear apocalypse. And this would be a rundown of our literary elements and our plot of the Store of the Worlds. It definitely has this ironic twist at the end, where we assumed he didn't go. Well, first we assumed he didn't even take the offer. And then we also might have been assuming that he would have went somewhere selfishly just for himself. But in actuality, we find out that this whole experience was because he is just a very sad, lonely man missing his dead family, which makes me feel bad for Mr. Wayne in the end. And that would be Robert Sheckley's The Store of the Worlds.